What is going on, Pond? It's your two favorite koi fish back at it. Another podcast on a Thursday for you. I'm here with my co-host, DJ Sad Kevy Kev.
What up,
and
folks?
I'm your main man, Seacoy. Welcome back.
And thank you so much.
I'm trying something new. We'll see. We'll see how well that gets interpreted. As long as I don't get embarrassed on social media, we'll be all right.
I think it's fabulous. And even if you do, attention is a good thing.
There's no such thing as bad attention.
That's right. Thank you for getting us back, close to 50 or 60 views?
Yeah, I think it was 59 last time I checked. So we basically got back to our normal viewership retention.
Dipped down a little bit there during the holidays, and thanks for coming back. So
that's to be expected.
That's a fabulous thing.
Sadly, the holidays will do that. So
yep, for sure.
It's all right.
So cold everywhere. We hope you're staying warm.
Oh, yes.
We hope maybe you got a delicious hot cup of cocoa.
Yes.
And you're getting ready to settle into podcast 10.
Yep, podcast number 10.
So
man, it's been cold as shit out. I think next week's supposed to be 40, so that'll be nice.
It'll feel like a heat wave compared to this shit. So that's for sure.
For sure. But what a week of never mind.
Football?
Football?
Yep. We have the Christmas decorations. This will probably be our closing ceremonies at the end of today for the Christmas decorations.
Who knows? Maybe we'll find something else.
Yeah, and just give me 1 second, would you?
Yeah, of course.
Let's stay live right here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's up to. Hope all you are having a great week. I don't know how to fill this, I'll be honest.
A very exciting thing that we need to do.
Oh my God!
And I wanted to surprise my cohort here with this moment. It needs a
God bless. That is huge.
It needs a what I want to say, spontaneous reaction. Let's call it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
So let's see what this baby looks like.
Holy hell! How big did you get?
It is sizable, my friend.
Oh my God.
It is sizable. So let's check this. Can you hold that side?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude.
No, you're fine. Just leave it. It's fine.
There we go. Let's take a look at this mother. Hold it up for all the people to see.
Good Lord.
Now that is the koi pond.
That's a damn banner.
All right. Let's see if we can throw this up real quick. You can splice this if you want to.
Well, we could fast forward through this, but
yeah.
We can see how
quick we can do her here.
Yeah. Why not?
Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised.
You're not surprised?
Well, okay. I'm surprised that we
All right.
have it.
I was going to say, why don't you just ruin my fucking day, jackass?
No. I'm surprised that it came
that
in.
needs to stay in.
Stay in. I'm not surprised that you went way bigger than I thought you would have.
Remember I said that whole board.
I know. You were right. You were damn right.
Can I turn that over?
You can tilt it a little bit.
Just for a second.
Yeah,
Is it showing up?
Oh, yeah, it's showing up. Just for size comparison, I can barely palm one of the fish.
Yeah, and Colin is like Andre the Giant, so that shows you how big the sign is.
It's just like, God bless, man. Next thing I know, we're going to be sponsoring something. We'll need that up there in the.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. That was
God.
What was in my brain. It's like we could get a small one made now and then have to make it a different size later.
Oh my God!
Not good. Where we have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Sweet.
Oh my God, that's funny. So just to clarify, the fact that it's here and you have it and it was that quick surprises me.
Yes.
You going bigger than it needed to be does not surprise me. That's on par for Mr. Kevin.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, no kidding. God
and when
bless.
you're the koi pond, you go big.
Oh my
All
God.
right.
That is hilarious.
Well, now we have that supercharged excitement behind us.
Yes.
Let's kick off the wild card weekend review, the super wild card weekend review as it's called these days.
Oh my God. Yeah, what a crazy weekend as a whole. I mean, we'll talk about it all, but as a whole, great weekend.
So awesome to have each game be highlighted. Mm-hmm. I really like that part to where real time you can watch in full.
I agree.
Every game and take it all in.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, most of the games, except for really one, were disappointing.
Technically, for the sake of underdogs, yes. Yep. And every home team won except for one.
Exactly. So, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll dive into that. But yeah, overall good stuff. I mean, the Bills situation where they had to move the game was kind of crazy.
Bizarre.
Yeah, a bit of a conspiracy, but judging by the videos that we saw Sunday night,
yeah.
When the game would have been in that afternoon, it's probably for the best they moved it because, I mean, even when the people were coming into the stands there was
tons of
snow in each section. It was crazy. Some sections were cleared.
I saw pictures of people walking down the aisle, and they had to go down on their rear ends because they're sliding down.
There was people making recliners in the snow, and they had their beers on either side. I mean, just a wild scene.
It was a little nutty.
It felt like there was more of a presence of that this year than there has been in the past, where there's more headlines of weather implications. But I guess I'm just really thinking of Chiefs and Bills.
Yep.
But
regardless, let's start in Houston.
Oh my God.
As Cleveland at Houston, we picked Cleveland.
We did pick Cleveland.
And I could shoot myself for that because
at the time,
for me personally, I just kind of felt like Houston was on a roll.
They were. I mean, we can't act like we didn't go into that game and they weren't.
No.
They looked amazing. I didn't think it'd be that bad.
But Cleveland just disappointed from the get-go. Joe Flacco, he looked old and slow.
Joe Flacco, he showed his true colors in old man fashion. Poor
he
bastard.
Really did.
I feel bad for him.
I did too.
Mean, the problem is that you can't even say that he played a great game and it's on the team. He threw 2 pick sixes where he looked like grandpa in a wheelchair.
Yeah. It reminded me back at the end of Dan Marino's playing time.
Yeah.
And Dan Marino had a couple games where I think he had like 5 picks in a game. Mm-hmm. And it just looked like, oh man, that's it. It's done.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a shame it ended that way. I really felt bad for him. I mean, kudos to C.J. Stroud.
Yep,
that was he's the youngest quarterback to ever win a playoff game after that.
It's insane.
And I think he's one of 3 combos of rookie quarterback and rookie coach to win a playoff game.
Okay,
I believe there was a couple others. Heaven forbid, I can't remember now, but
yeah,
you know, that's a prestigious list, a very good list to be on.
And here's the thing: C.J. Stroud is not dinking and dunking the ball.
No.
He's throwing the ball down the field like 20-yard clips. So, and by the way, that was against the number 1 defense.
Going in the playoffs, that's number 1 defense.
It wasn't like this was just some pushover team.
No.
Before the game, everybody was talking about the Browns defense. How would the rookie do? And he didn't seem to have one bit of problem with it.
No,
he
did not. It was crazy.
Yep. The late game, I think we picked that one.
That was the Koi Pond pick. We're now 4-4.
Sweet.
We made it back
to
500.
Hey. That was Miami, Kansas City. What we expected.
I beat the drum until the end. And now Dolphins fans are panicking. I read some of the media, some of the blogs, articles that came out from Miami in general about that team. A lot of them blame play calling, fair. A lot of them blame Tua's inability to win in the big moment. I've been saying that.
Yep.
I'm not going to act like I'm the only one saying that, but I'm a firm believer that, you know, maybe it's not this year. Maybe Tua down the stretch will start doing it. I don't believe he could this year. And, you know, Kansas City's Kansas City. They look, I mean, is Mahomes the next Brady in the sense of regular season, they just got to it. And then they get to the playoffs and they turn it on. Given Pacheco did have 24 carries for 89 yards.
Yep.
But, you know, they won. And they won by 2 touchdowns.
Yep. Rasheed Price had 130 yards. Wrong sport.
Yeah. Hey, we'll get there.
And so, Miami just looked pedestrian. And there's just nothing to get excited about with Tua. I mean,
no.
I've tried to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I've tried to feel like the contrarian to you. And every time he just,
it astounds you.
Yeah. The more and more I see him play, he just looks like now what I'm calling stat Prescott.
Oh, dear.
And we'll get to that here in a sec.
That'll be in a second.
But, Kansas City, they took care of business at home.
They were solid. And, again, I'd put a lot of that on the weather as well. When you're a warm team like they are, going up north and playing in one of the coldest games in the NFL ever.
That's tough.
That's tough.
That's
regardless.
Tough shit.
I give Tua a bunch of crap, but that is a tough thing to do.
Yep.
I thought they'd keep it a bit closer, but they didn't.
Sorry, it's too cool with the sign behind you as you're talking.
I appreciate
that. Got to get the snapshot there of the Koi Pond circle right behind your head.
But I mean that's tough to see. I mean, it was out QB'd. Tough. Kansas City moves on like just about everyone expected, I think.
Yeah, and like you said, they get to the playoffs. It's regular season. They're in the playoffs. They know what to do.
They know
they're experienced. That team can play in any environment, and any stadium.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about this later, but Kansas City also has a sneaky, really good defense.
Yeah, they really do.
Statistically, they have one of the better ones.
I agree with you.
Yards per game, they have one of the better ones.
And it's not something that's really been talked about much.
It hasn't been. And given that their division is the Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers, so 6 of those games out of their 17 are going to be more than likely low, but those games didn't end up being low scoring.
Yep. So exactly right.
On to the next one.
Okay, so we got a rant here.
I'm going to let you take it from here.
The hat has to turn around because there was no rally. The rally cap did not work on Sunday. And Green Bay at Dallas was just a complete annihilation and domination by the Packers, which on the surface made no fucking sense to me whatsoever. And Stat Prescott looked like a deer in the headlights again. Now, you say, okay, it's the coach. Okay, it's the defensive coach. It's the offensive coach. It's the play calling. It's the owner. It's the stadium. Wrong. It can't be any of that. The most motivating thing that day was Jimmy Johnson's halftime speech. And if they had put that on in the locker room, they'd had a fucking shot. But they were too busy in there planning their celebration parties, which, by the way, were planned the day before they even played the fucking game, to celebrate the victory that night. Big fucking mistake right there. Nobody showed up for the game. The players didn't play. The coaches weren't anything special. And again, Dak Prescott, the look in the eyes, the deer in the headlights, the same fucking shit that we have seen 3 years in a row now. It is Dak Prescott. It is Dak Prescott. It is Dak Prescott. They tried to put a defense around him that was complementary, meaning you play to your strengths, you get up to some leads, your defense pins their ears back, and they go after the quarterback. But if you can't get the lead in the first place, the fucking strategy doesn't work. Dak, at the beginning of the game, there are stupid penalties too. There are some discipline issues with the team, and half of them seem to happen with Sam Williams, one player. By the way, the same fucker that planned the victory party, the same guy who had a penalty running into the guy returning the punt. Bonehead thing. He's done it fucking 8 times this season.
Wow.
Gone. He better be gone next year. And Dak can't work when the first read is not there. When he can't throw to the first guy he sees. And if anybody saw the game, you saw he and CeeDee Lamb getting into it at the start of the game.
Yep.
That was all Dak pissing and moaning at CeeDee because CeeDee wasn't getting open quick enough. Crock of shit. And again, you and I talked about this, Colin.
Yep.
You go back to the first of Dak's seasons. That was Dez Bryant. Dak bitches about Dez Bryant not getting open. It's not Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant got open for Tony Romo plenty of fucking times, who, by the way, now has a better playoff record than Dak Prescott.
Tony Romo does?
Tony Romo does.
Shit.
Yeah, there's where we're at. You go to the next season. So they lose to the Niners.
Right.
Then they play the Niners again. Well, the first time. Mm-hmm. Amari Cooper gets upset because Dak's not throwing the ball where they can catch it. Guess what happens? Amari Cooper gets, gifted to the Browns for nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. Nothing wrong with Amari Cooper. Joe Flacco knew how to use him. We saw that over the last several weeks. So now we're saying CeeDee Lamb is the problem. It's Dak. Dak's post-game press conference, they asked him, Dak, this is the 3rd year in a row. You can't get over the hump. What is the answer? Dak's answer? I wish I knew. That's it. Done. He can't handle the heat. He can't handle the pressure. They tried to do everything they could around there. And That other team had some firepower. It had some former Cowboy coaches. Rich Bisaccia being one who was the Raiders interim coach.
Right.
Coached at Dallas with Joe Barry's father-in-law,
Good Lord.
Rod Marinelli. Fuck. Those guys were motivated. Joe Barry was motivated to get revenge on Dallas for Rod Marinelli getting fired. Same with Rich Bisaccia. I met them both in Tennessee when the Cowboys played the Titans one year. Two nice guys. But you can look and find a video of Rich Bisaccia coming in to the tunnel, back to the locker room after the game, and you hear him go, "Yeah, how about those Cowboys? Yeah." And that's when I knew. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is an inside fucking job. These guys are pissed about getting fired. Not fired, just their contracts expired. But that's the same thing as a firing.
It's a nice version of a firing.
I don't care what anybody says. So there you go. I'm done with my bitch. But Dak Prescott, who I will now forever call Stat Prescott, because he had fucking 35 yards, some crap like that at the end of the first half. Fucking 27-7 at home, a place you've won 16 straight fucking games. 27-7, stare down CD Lamb, throw a fucking pick six to make it 27-0 before you finally get your ass moving. You wind up with 400 yards receiving and want to say, oh, look at me, I did a whole bunch of shit. Fucking Stat Prescott, no guts, and no ability in the heat of the moment to come through. This is the worst game in the playoffs I've ever seen him have. And it just made me realize, that's it. The ceiling is right here. He can't. I don't give a shit you win 12 games 3 seasons in a row. That's not what this is about. I don't fucking care about blowing out the Giants twice a year, 40-10. Fucking winning the playoffs. For God's sakes. And all I got to add to the tail end of this is the Jimmy Johnson curse. I'm not going to say it's fool's gold, because there's also apparently a Ted Cruz curse that may override the Jimmy Johnson curse, because people in Texas were going nuts about Ted Cruz, the politician, sending a text, "Let's go Cowboys," and they're all like, oh fuck, here we go, we're done now, because dipshit sent something out on Twitter supporting the Cowboys. So I don't know what that's all about. That's the first introduction I've had to that shit. But Ted Cruz can go fuck himself for all I care. So shut the hell up. All right, I'm done. Where's the Advil?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, the podcast this week is sponsored by gin. Just generic Kroger brand gin.
We can't hurt them.
No.
We can't hurt that.
No, I mean, I will also add, I heard that apparently Kyle Shanahan started preparing for the Packers at halftime of that game.
Actually, he said in the second quarter. He said in the second quarter he started, when it was 20-0, he started preparing for the Packers. At halftime, he knew it was only one team. So, yeah, nice add-in.
If he makes you feel any better, 27-7 a year ago to the day was not my favorite score either. So it's only up from here.
That was a hell of a point, too, by the way, to say that. Because
in case you guys don't know, which some of you might, the Chargers were up a year ago to the day, same day as the Cowboys, game.
Yep.
They were up 27-7 at halftime versus the Jaguars, and we all know how that ended. So it's unfortunate. I told Matt that at halftime just to try and lift his spirits. Obviously, both of our teams just suck.
Yeah.
So.
All right, moving on to the Rams at the Lions. The highlight of the weekend.
That was an amazing game.
That was a great game.
There's a lot of things that happened after the game that we'll dive into in a sec. But as a whole, that game was exciting to watch.
It was.
It was close. The Rams covered, and the Lions won.
Yep.
I'm stoked for the Lions. You know, it's one of those teams that you see always be shit, and now they've got a very, I want to say wholesome, because they've got absolute demons on defense. Aiden Hutchinson being one of them.
Yep.
But it's a feel-good story to see them finally doing well after it was a 32-year drought without a win in the playoffs.
So,
just amazing. I mean,
first playoff win at Ford Field.
Puka, he got 189 yards.
181 yards. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
That is wild. And they still lost.
And at one point, it looked like he had a concussion or something, but he came back in.
Stafford.
Also, Puka did too.
Right. They were both
almost the same time. Yeah. because I was like, wait, what happened to Puka?
Well, I mean, that picture of Stafford, you have to wonder if he was hit so hard that he was staring at the ceiling with a concussion, or if he was waiting for someone to come
Did you
get
see
him.
his face when he was laying?
His eyes?
Yeah, not good.
That had to be concussion, but...
He got hit, and then he got hit from the backside, then he got the right shoulder stepped on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, I mean, the Lions have got shitty calls. There's no doubt about it.
Both teams in that game felt like they got the...
Yep. But there could have been, with the way they call roughing anything, there'd have been 3 chances you could have called it right there.
Yes.
So,
and I know that the Lions had a bad break with a false start call that should have been defensive...
on the Rams?
Yeah.
Encroachment?
Encroachment.
Yeah.
It should have been encroachment. They didn't get it. But also the Rams should have gotten a PI. Yeah, a PI call on the Lions later in the game on Puka. So at the end of the day, it probably all evens out regardless. It was in Detroit. I mean, kind of figured they'd win regardless. Not much from Cooper Kupp, but, Lions took care of business barely. I mean, it'll be an interesting looking to the next week to see how they do in the playoffs. I think the Buccaneers have got a good shot, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, great game. I mean, Lions did what they had to. They toughed it through, and kind of cool at the end in the locker room. It showed Dan Campbell saying, "You are good enough for Detroit. You are damn good enough for Detroit," or something like that.
And
giving Jared Goff the ball, which is great.
And seeing all those fans there, Eminem, Calvin Johnson, fucking Barry Sanders, all of them being there was awesome. You know, that whole team is with Detroit, no doubt, and it's a good feel-good story, even if they get absolutely slaughtered by Tampa Bay. But,
I think the hug at the end too. I think Stafford told Goff, "Go win it all," or something like that. Or
really cool game to watch. It lived up to the hype. I know Stafford's wife apparently claims that the Lions fans were booing the kids, their daughters. I can't imagine there's some drunk bastard that runs up to the daughters and booing them. I would imagine they're booing her. I don't believe it. I don't doubt it. But, I've been to a few NFL games myself where I'm not loved, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. But more than likely they're booing her. Because she also had that problem at the Super Bowl where was she the one that fell off the stage, or
I don't know if that was her or not.
It was the media person taking a picture of her.
Okay.
And she fell off the back end.
Jesus.
Our T's and P's to that lady, but his wife hasn't always been in the best of light, I believe. So I'm more than likely they were booing her, I'd say.
She's not quite Kurt Warner's wife, who takes it to another level, but she's definitely had a couple moments.
Yeah, not as much in the media as Patrick Mahomes' wife, but not out of it either.
So the Monday game, which was wild, we weren't supposed to originally have a Monday game at 4:30.
Monday game is a weird thing. I didn't hate it. But it was a bit weird. Threw my day off.
Monday, Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Of course, the heavy snow. I think the governor of New York who basically said, this is not safe travel conditions. The game had to be changed.
And I had a bit of a conspiracy going at the time where I thought, the only way Pittsburgh wins that game is if they play that in that shit, which I still think they would have been maybe a little
closer.
Better. Might have been a little closer, but conspiracy. But then after you see the videos of that night, it's like, it's probably good thing no one was there.
It was pretty brutal, and like we talked about before we went on the air here, you could see if you watched the game, fans were trying to get down the aisleways, and they were slipping and sliding and going down on the rear ends.
Sections were still not cleared. It was feet of snow.
It was crazy.
Wild scene.
Buffalo did what they do.
Yeah, they took care of business. Honestly, if Rudolph doesn't have that pick in the end zone and they get that touchdown, that game's a lot closer.
That was, when he did that, because I was rooting for Pittsburgh. I was like, damn.
Well, 17-31, technically, if they get that touchdown and they don't score on that drive, it's 24-24.
Yeah, it was a big swing.
And I'm not saying that would have meant Pittsburgh wins. I don't think they would win, but
no. They'd have been more competitive.
They would have covered the fucking spread then at least. But, it would have been, without TJ, what are you going to do?
And that's the thing. And I did take Pittsburgh. I don't know. I thought maybe they'd find a way somehow, Tomlin and all that. But I think you took Buffalo.
I probably did. But, it is what it is.
All right. The one that made me feel better about the weekend, basically, Philadelphia at Tampa. Monday night, 32-9. They lost by more than the Cowboys did, which was a wonderful thing.
This was crazy.
And, if Tampa's offense had converted more field goals to touchdown earlier in this game, this thing would have been
a kill.
I
mean,
yeah.
I don't even know how to put it into words, because this was one of those games that I think everyone felt like Tampa Bay would win.
Yep.
But rarely does that happen where everyone's like, yeah, no, Tampa Bay wins this, and then Tampa Bay actually wins this in the sense of like the underdog at home sort of thing, or up, everyone had a feeling.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was right. I mean, 32-9, that's bad.
Obliteration.
It looks bad over there.
And I think, I mean, hats off to, and I've said I'm not quite sure about Baker Mayfield so far, but God, I mean, he was on. I mean, they were just rocking and rolling big time. If his receivers actually catch like 6 or 7 balls they dropped, which was just awful.
Mike Evans had a few bad drops.
He did. He had a touchdown he dropped early in the game too that was right in the breadbasket.
It didn't look normal, but
God, kudos to them, and they're gonna. I mean, Tampa at Detroit's going to be a good game, I think.
I think that has a real possibility
of
being good.
Because I don't think either one of them are killers. You know?
I mean, we'll talk about that shortly. But that'll be a good game to look forward to. And honestly, I mean, do the Eagles clean house?
Yes.
Like it sounded like they're going nuclear.
They are. I think right now, I think Dallas is still kind of. They're supposed to. McCarthy and Jones are supposed to meet tomorrow, Friday, have their discussion. The word out of Philly is not that way. And if you watch Jeff Lurie during that game in his box, he was pissed.
Mad.
Pissed.
Yeah.
And apparently there were some other things going on between the head coach and Hurts.
Oh.
And I don't know what the deal was on that.
No
Something that was said during the season. So there's starting to be some more smoke on this thing.
Yeah.
And the Philly media, my God.
I'm sure it's a death sentence right now.
Oh, man, they're going nuts. Shady McCoy, Ron Jaworski, all those guys are just going nuts. Seth Joyner.
What is the deal with the Eagles and just blowing their teams up? Carson Wentz, Nick Foles 6 years ago, and now, they went nuclear, got those picks. They have this team. Yep. But now it sounds like this team's already done.
Yeah.
It's a weird scene coming out of there.
I don't know what the deal is, but I think there's
gonna be changes.
Belichick could very well be going to Philly if he doesn't go to Atlanta.
I mean, talk about an underperforming team with talent.
Man,
but
they've got it. Yeah, exactly. You're right, and that's what we heard. The criteria for Belichick picking his team, and we'll get more to this.
Yeah,
but.
Well, it's the last game where next thing's coaching.
We're there, right?
Yeah.
Underperforming, but talented rosters.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you're either talking about Dallas or you're talking about Philly.
I mean, Belichick met with the Falcons, but I think that's just you're going to check all your options probably in case they're going to give you some crazy amount of money or something, because he's already has all the accolades.
I think the reason for that one is that would be total and complete control.
Yes.
But it's going to take more work.
Yes.
So he's got, Arthur Blank is not going to dabble. He's not going to get in the way.
Especially when he knows it's Belichick.
Yeah. He's not Jeff Lurie. He's not Jerry Jones. So
he's not going to be in your ear. He's going to be like, here's everything you need to succeed. I'm going to be on my private island or wherever the fuck.
And there's a bit of nostalgia to be the team that stole victory from Atlanta.
Yes.
To come back and be the one to possibly bring it to them.
I mean, for all we know, he walked in and said, "You suck," and just walked out.
Yeah.
That would be so funny.
They actually did say they met for 3+ hours.
Okay, so there was substance
to it. So, I don't know. But interesting.
It's
we'll
interesting.
See.
I mean, I have to believe after, I don't think Belichick's going to make a pick until the playoffs are over and the Super Bowl is over to figure out which of those teams, because I feel like he's going to go to a team that was in the playoffs, and then from there he's going to pick which one he has the most control, money, takes the least amount of time to get where he thinks is a Super Bowl team and the easiest division. That's why also the Falcons' job seemed probably easy, is because it's like you're battling against Carolina, the Saints, and Tampa Bay. Even Tampa Bay looks decent, but once, it doesn't take a few contracts for a team to be bad.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
I think that added to the Atlanta a little bit too.
Yep. But
I don't see him going to the Commanders now. Not that the Eagles and Cowboys lost. I think those teams are much higher now on his list of possible.
I would think.
And probably Eagles more just because he doesn't want to deal with Jerry. But Jerry and Belichick would be a crazy combo that I don't think the media would ever get bored with.
I think Shannon Sharp said Belichick and Jones. No, that would be like a the world would blow up or something like that.
It'd be one of those things where there's more of a friction between each other than there ever is any teams they play, it feels like. But Who knows? There's still so much time.
Yeah. Just because all that shit isn't even really started yet all the way. So
the playoffs are still happening. This is just huge names that are on the chopping block. Or coaching carousel, which leads into Jim Harbaugh has now met with the Falcons, the Chargers. He won't meet with the Bears, obviously. I think it's only been those two, but everyone keeps saying that he's any minute now going to be the Chargers head coach.
You can see, players for Michigan declaring for the draft.
Yes, they're
transferring to other places.
Yeah,
the writing is on the wall. Jim Harbaugh is a uber competitive coach. His brother has won a Super Bowl, John Harbaugh, with the Ravens.
Yep.
There's only a handful of coaches that have won a national championship and also won a Super Bowl. He would love to be what I think is the fifth one, actually.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that guy wants a challenge. He wants to be known as a legendary coach. And he wants to come to the NFL. I just don't see any other fit better for him than the Chargers. If you think about Michigan, what took him the time to turn that around was the quarterback position.
Yeah.
And he's got that in Justin Herbert. So
he knows the pieces he needs at that point.
Knows the pieces. The Spanos family is not going to get in his way on things.
They can be slightly more, how do I want to say it, less likely to give out money, but I think the Spanos family as a whole has switched their mindset and been like, this has been 4 to 5 disappointing seasons now. We need, to win because they see what the Rams are doing. And they can't find any fucking fans to fill up that stadium in LA. And I think the writing's on the wall and they're finally fucking reading it. But we'll see.
He went to Stanford. He wants to get back to the West Coast, is the belief.
He's very familiar with California. So it makes the most sense. Something else that got brought up was also that is there a way that if Chargers offer him a good enough deal that Michigan can somehow keep him out of any of the suspensions that would occur next season?
Yes, great point. And I believe that's absolutely true. You go back and you look again. We talked about who's won a Natty and who's won a Super Bowl, and one of those is Pete Carroll. And when Pete Carroll left USC, Reggie Bush taking money to get out of there, nothing followed him. So he ran out of that place as fast as he could, and it makes a ton of sense. There's all kinds of. I was hearing this today. There's all kinds of, what are they trying to say, clauses or hooks that he's asking for in his contract at Michigan. And so it's like, well, what is all these complications? What are those things about?
Yeah, how many of those need to be, or if all of them can be adhered to or supplied via Michigan? If he comes to them and says, well, they're going to buy out my contract here and pay me $20 million, I'm going there. How quickly does Michigan go, oh, wait. No, you don't. We won't suspend you or anything. You can stay. And I wouldn't blame him for playing that angle. But he's playing it damn well because I think most of the NFL thinks he's going to be a Chargers head coach in the next week.
He's trying to get, and he's doing it right. He's playing all these things against one another for the best deal Jim Harbaugh could get for himself. And he should be.
No doubt. And I'm still convinced it will end up being Michigan or the Chargers. I just don't know how many more kids need to leave Michigan before they're like, fuck it, we'll just find someone else because there's got to be a head coach for one of these college teams that's good that would go there.
Absolutely.
So who knows? I hope he signs it. I don't really have a second and third. I think it's interesting that Mike Vrabel has been very quiet on this whole thing.
You haven't heard his name mentioned really anywhere just yet.
No, and I want to say it's because either he's taking his time or doesn't want to push it, or maybe he wants a month to not want to beat the shit out of the next GM that he has to talk to. But where he goes will be interesting. I think he'd be a good fit in Seattle. If Pete Carroll still coaches or if he actually does just become like a right-hand man for someone in Seattle. Both of those two have been surprising. Not surprising, but with not hearing any news, it's curious what they've been up to.
And I also wonder, I still say Ohio State, it's quiet right now, but I still say that Ryan Day and his performance in the big games, and especially in the Michigan game for the last 3 years, he's not safe. I think a lot of this shit's going to settle out, and there still could be, in what's going to be called the legendary coaching availability year, when we look back on this, they're going to wait, and there's going to be somebody available who would make that program better than Ryan Day.
I agree.
And I think they're waiting, too, to see what happens. Michigan, obviously, is the spotlight in college right now. But Ohio State is, I'd say, ripe for one of these people to come in there. And Ryan Day is, I'm sorry, I'm just not sold on it.
No, I agree, but I think they said they're giving him one more year.
One more year?
I think from everything I've heard, and I haven't heard anybody, it's not like Ohio State came out and said that.
Right.
But from people I've talked to, it sounds like they're going to give Ryan Day one more year. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
From there, we'll see. I don't have much information for Ohio State. Ironically, I hate betting on children, so
yeah,
I try and stay not to.
Okay, well, I want to do a little sidebar here real quick.
Yeah, sure.
It ties into the football season as we wrap up the football season. Mm-hmm. But you'll notice something new in the pond besides our koi pond sign.
Yeah, behind this thing.
But back over here, you'll see hashtag Get Phil Voted In.
Okay. Oh.
And so, what is this about? So, if you've watched ABC Monday Night Football at all this season, and you've watched the opening, you may not know who Phil Collins is, but you sure as hell have heard his music, sung by Chris Stapleton, drum part played by Santana and Cindy Blackman Santana, and you've heard Snoop Dogg in there as well.
Yeah, he's a weird one to have in there.
And without a doubt, one of the most iconic drum fills in the history of music.
Yes.
Phil Collins. And so they made this decision to make that song the opening back in March of 2023. And Phil only gave his blessing for them to use the song once he had assurances that it would not replace the dun 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 dun.
Oh, really?
He would not allow them not to make that still the Monday Night Football theme. And only once he had, actually I think it was a written assurance, would he allow them to use the iconic In the Air Tonight.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's a great move on his part.
Isn't that cool?
Smart that he did it the way he did.
And by the way, everybody in TV calls that song the Four Notes.
For the ESPN's like NFL.
For the ABC Monday Night Football, dun 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 dun.
Smart. The Four Notes. Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
I did not know that.
Also, Chris Stapleton, because Phil Collins is one of his musical heroes, you'll see a part, if you watch it, I think we've got another ABC game. I don't know if they'll do it for that. It's on Saturday. But
They probably will. They've been using that intro for almost the start of every one.
Okay. But there's a part where Chris Stapleton is singing at the beginning, and he's in red.
Okay.
And he does that. That was his request of the creators of the opening as an homage to Phil Collins' No Jacket Required album that came out.
So how does the red tie in?
So the red, you'll see it in the opening, but the red is the color of the front of the jacket of No Jacket Required.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
There's your tie-in. So
that's pretty cool.
So I'm bringing this up because this legendary rocker, he's in the Hall of Fame as a member of the band Genesis.
Right.
He is not in the Hall of Fame as a solo artist.
Gotcha.
In the Air Tonight is his solo song.
Damn, what a song.
And what qualifies someone to be an artist in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Great question.
An artist's influence on other artists,
so
length and depth of career and body of work.
I think you can prove that.
Innovation, superiority in style and technique.
I think you can prove that too.
And as if that's not enough, Phil Collins is one of 3 musicians to have sold over 100 million albums as a solo and as part of a group.
Wow.
There are only 2 other artists, and they are both in the group and as a solo act in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Can you name who those 2 are?
Beyonce?
If you want to take a shot and type it in the comments.
Yeah. Pause here and type in the comments.
Feel free to do that.
My guess would be so that many as a solo and as a group.
Yep, 100 million each way.
I would assume Beyonce only because she was in Destiny's Child. Oh wait, are they relative? Would I know them?
You would know them.
Beyonce and maybe like Taylor Swift. I don't know. I give
that's
up.
That's a good guess. That's
but
a good guess.
I don't think Taylor Swift's part of a group, so
No.
I kind of throw that to the side.
Can I go ahead and reveal them?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Michael Jackson.
Oh Jesus, Jackson 5.
Jackson 5. Paul McCartney.
Is that Bon Jovi?
The Beatles.
Oh fuck me. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So what I'd like to ask you to do, if you could take a minute and either go out to get Phil voted in,
Yes.
check it out. Tracy is the lady that's spearheading this to get Phil voted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he's getting up there in years too. Tracy does great work. That's where I got the hat from. Fantastic.
Nice.
But if you could go out to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, shoot him an email, info@rockhall.org.
I'll put the link in the description.
Yep. Or search Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just send him a brief email that says Phil Collins should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist.
I agree.
And if you do that, again, we've enjoyed it as football fans, and that's my tie-in
That's fair. That's fair.
all year long.
He's been a huge part of Monday Night Football. I mean, you've seen people in the stands, people at home. It's impossible not to air drum the Phil.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't know that,
No pun
right?
intended.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no.
Yep. Thought it fit in here and
No, I agree.
kind of wraps up the season there. So,
You're bringing up a topic that needs to be brought up more.
agree.
It's kind of crazy, though, that he's in there for Genesis, but not as a solo. I feel like that
Did
should have been, because there's no way did he get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Genesis early?
No, it was kind of later in
So
this. Yeah,
At that point, too, the solo cruise probably already has its print, so why didn't they just tie it in?
agree.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
It would make a lot of sense that they just took care of that real quick.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that's a pretty good point, Colin. I don't know. I'd be curious to look at Michael Jackson, the Jackson
What was
Five.
the
What was the
separation?
gap? And the same thing with Paul McCartney and the Beatles. But
Yeah.
that's just that's a crazy of the three.
Yeah.
That's a crazy stat.
Yeah, and given the Beatles were the Beatles and Michael Jackson was Michael Jackson, but how do you, unless they're trying to make that a very exclusive club, how do you not have Phil Collins in that?
Right.
Because he may not be quite as popular as those two were,
Right.
but I mean, he's the next one in.
Exactly.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
But
And again, this season kind of demonstrates that when you're
Yeah.
playing it every Monday night.
yes,
So
yes, I agree. If one of the biggest privately owned businesses in the world
yeah.
is playing your shit, you're probably pretty popular. I agree.
All right.
Weird. On to the divisional round?
Let's rock on to the previews, eh?
I like it.
This coming Saturday, we have a kick-ass matchup.
Oh, my God.
We have C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson.
Man,
Oh,
I am sweating this for a lot of reasons.
D'Amico Ryans, John Harbaugh. What in the world?
Rookies versus veterans is how it feels. I've
Yep.
got the bet on the Ravens, 50 to win $1,000 if they win the Super Bowl, and I'm sweating the first matchup.
Yep.
Ugh.
Again, Super Wild Card Weekend is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but this is where the pressure mounts if you're not used to it.
And what I will say is that's true. The veterans, the first seed, number one seeds haven't played in 2 weeks now because they had the bye plus week 18 off in Baltimore's case.
Yep.
Now, on the flip side, Stroud is not a great on-grass outside player.
Okay.
And he's had rougher games away, but he doesn't have as many because he missed the Titans game week 15 because he was hurt.
Okay.
His numbers are not drastically different when they're away and outside, or outside and on grass, but it's enough that it's different. It's not close.
Yeah.
I think his completion percentage is like 65 at home, but away outside it's like 60. So there's a little bit there, and yardage wise is vastly different. But they don't have, for some reason, they had more home games than away. But I think that's going to be a key, is if Stroud can just keep it moving. I think it's going to be tough as a rookie away, especially in Baltimore, where Baltimore's a specific type of person lives there, and they will live and die with the Ravens, especially if they're a number one seed.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. But what I will say is 9.5 spread. Take Houston. I mean, they are red hot right now, beating the shit out of the number one defense in the league. Given Baltimore is, great defense also. It reminds me a little bit of the old Baltimore defense, not to the same extent, but I mean, it's not that far off, it feels like. Baltimore, again, hasn't played in money. Baltimore hasn't played in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like Texans plus 9.5. I think this game's going to be more like 3 points.
Okay.
But it'll be a safe 3 points.
Okay. I'm going to take the Ravens and give the points.
Okay.
And I think Ravens roll 27-10.
Wow. Okay.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Take the Ravens and give the points?
Take the points.
Take the
Technically,
points.
because they're getting the 9.5. The ball, or maybe give.
Yeah, give.
I don't know.
Because they're already starting 9.5 in the hole.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. But it'll be good. I think it's a good game. The thing is with the rookie quarterbacks like last week when we were like, they're rookies, that'll really come into play this week.
I think so. The second game is the Packers at the Niners.
Yes.
That's an 8:15 on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
We're in California, so don't know that there's really weather issues we're dealing with.
It's 9.5 here currently too. I mean, it's gonna be warm.
9.5 as well. Really?
It's gonna be warm. This is my underdog pick for Green Bay to win this. Honestly, I think they have it. I loom over the 49ers because they always get through this game. The last 10 years, they've had 4 wins at the divisional round. I mean, they probably win this. I think that Green Bay will cover the 9.5 pretty easy.
I agree with you.
But I don't know. I mean, this feels a lot like the Chiefs again. But the problem is the 49ers this year is they've had moments where they look great and had moments where they don't look great. And coming off the bye week, I feel like it's going to be, again, they'll probably win, but it's going to be a little rough off the bat.
Yeah.
The 50.5 points over-under is crazy. I mean, part of me would take the over there, but I don't really know if, it's 8 o'clock on a Saturday. That's prime time.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't even touch it, to be honest, because the Packers have a shot. They come out and they look like they did against the Cowboys, and it's good. There's also the chance that the 49ers have none of it, and they're on a fucking tear this year to get to the Super Bowl.
That's true.
Because I think it's going to be personal against all these teams with what happened with Philadelphia.
Yeah, could very well be.
Because they wanted Philly or Dallas, and now they get neither.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm gonna take the Packers and the points.
Okay.
And I think the Green Bay wins 27-24.
Wow.
And I think why do I think that? I think the 49ers still have some people banged up, even though they've had this break.
They've had some injury issues.
And I think Green Bay is on full speed ahead right now.
I mean, some of the wide receivers they've got had separation I've not seen in an NFL game this year yet.
It's insane.
It's a young team that's finally clicking, and that scares me because they don't know what they're afraid of yet.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean? Like, they haven't been here to know what happens if you lose.
So one thing to keep in mind there is the Cowboys played zone, which they don't normally do.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because, the Cowboys had Diggs has been out for most of the year.
Yep.
Gilmore had a separated shoulder.
Right.
So they were trying to play more of a zone defense. They basically are running out of players. Linebackers were all gone.
Yeah.
So that safeties playing linebacker. But I still think the Packer wide receivers are difference makers.
Yes.
Jones, the running back, is enough that he can beat on the Niners' defensive line, I think.
Yep.
And their line played a hell of a game. They're fucking fired up, man. And
they are.
And again, who am I trying to think of? Who's the Green Bay coach?
Shanahan? No.
Shanahan. Yeah, LaFleur and Shanahan. Shanahan was the head coach of the Falcons, and LaFleur was his OC, offensive coordinator. So they know each other really well.
This will be a good game.
So we'll see. That's my pick anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, Tampa at Detroit.
6.5 is the spread for the Lions, obviously.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That high?
Yep.
Wow.
Over-under's 48.5. I think this is going to come down to, can Detroit's defense hang in the game and stop Baker?
Yeah.
I mean, that offense was kicking ass. Tampa Bay's got a great rush defense. If they contain Montgomery and Gibbs, who knows? Jared Goff can win in the big moment, which we've seen him do. But, if Baker gets ahead, or if Baker gets banged up, because he was a little banged up after last week.
He was.
So, if Baker gets knocked out early, this game's over automatically. I really don't have a strong opinion on this game, bet-wise. Over-under's 48.5, spread 6.5. I mean, I would probably take Buccaneers plus 6.5 again, just because these spreads are so big for playoff games that are...
Taking Tampa to cover?
Yeah, Tampa to cover.
I would agree with that.
I think Lions win this, but I could see it being more like 3, a field goal.
I'm just writing down, as you're telling stuff there, I'm writing down Detroit 24-20.
Yeah.
So, and it stays under the 48.5, which I think will be the case.
I could see it. I mean, it's hard because we didn't get a good look at a Philly team against that defense, but their run game was there. Right. There was no one banged up on Philly's rushing offense, I guess. I don't know how to say that, but
yeah, they it was a mystery watching it.
Mm-hmm.
They got away from it so early. It was working.
Yes.
Because it was DeAndre Swift,
Mm-hmm.
and they just got away from it. And I don't know. All of a sudden, they started pass happy shit.
Yeah. And I mean, Jared Goff, if he gets flustered, if Tampa fucking blitzes the hell out of them like they did the Eagles, I mean, the Tampa Bay could be a sneaky team to get away with it here. I don't think they will.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could see all this hype for Detroit. You know, all these fans going crazy for that one Stafford game.
Yeah.
And then it just loses its momentum for this one.
Yep.
Given it's still at the Lions, I don't think this is going to be a blowout either way necessarily. But I wouldn't count Tampa Bay out necessarily. Yep. If Mike Evans catches a few more, if Godwin has a couple extra catches, you know, I think Tampa Bay is going to hang in this game.
I think so too. I think, you know, and again, the spreads kind of tell that story too, right?
Yeah.
But I think if I had to put my odds on the game that's going to be the closest, if I had to pick one game, I'd pick that game. Detroit Tampa Bay is going to be 1 point, 3 points, 4 points, 2 points.
And you kind of saw that against Tampa Bay versus the Rams. Detroit versus the Rams last week, where there was a few instances they could have put it away, but they just couldn't.
Yep.
And then, you know, Stafford's marching down the field, and for a second there, you're thinking, do the Rams win this?
Yeah.
Which would have been crazy.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
No doubt about it.
I don't doubt the coaching on the Lions or anything like that. It's just it just gives off a vibe to me like that.
And let's remember, I mean, even Lions fans were saying, you know, oh, we're a year away.
Yeah.
Well, you're
right here.
You're playing with house money now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's impressive to be where you're at, and now you got a home game.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can pull this out, I mean, that's just what a shock.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Good for them.
Last game, Kansas City at Buffalo.
Yeah, 6:30 on CBS Sunday night.
Yep, this will be interesting. I think if Buffalo is able to pressure Patrick Mahomes consistently throughout the entire game, I think, you know, the Bills will win this. I think the Chiefs wide receivers have come a long way. I think they're going to remember Tony's mistake that cost them home field advantage in this game. But Buffalo at home is a damning thing. I like the Chiefs. The Koi Pond pick of the week, though, is under 45.5 points in this game.
So it's 45.5?
Yep,
You're now. Taking the under?
Taking the under.
Okay, and who's favored?
Buffalo by 2.5 at the moment of this.
That's a good line.
I am going to go with Buffalo 2.5 to win under.
Okay.
The official Koi Pond pick of the week, though, is the under.
Yep.
I really like this under for two reasons. It's in the elements. Josh Allen can throw interceptions like no one's business. The Chiefs have a good defense, and it just doesn't feel like this game's going to go. It's not going to be as exciting as you want it to be.
Yeah.
I wish this game was a 45-50 game, but to be completely honest, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
The Chiefs don't have an offense that can take off with points, and the Chiefs' defense can probably hold Josh Allen to making stupid mistakes because you know this matchup is in both of their heads at this point.
Yeah.
The narratives from this game will be crazy, whichever way it goes.
Yep.
So just my take on it. If they get Pacheco going, I think that could be a way the Chiefs end up winning this game. I just don't have much faith in those Kansas City wide receivers still. I think they're improved. Yeah. But if you remember the first 3 weeks of the season, I mean, that was like their value was like 0. Mm-hmm. Now it's like out of 15, it's probably like 5.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Back and forth. Like, because Buffalo's at home, that gives them the advantage a little bit. But Kansas City, it's still Patrick Mahomes. I'm not counting him out. I'm just trying to figure out how the fuck this game goes.
Yeah. I think Kansas City wins. But I do agree with you on the under. Mm-hmm. So I think Kansas City wins, and I'm going 23-17 Kansas City.
I could see that.
I think Kansas City just has that additional level of experience. They've got just enough, powder left in the gun, if you will, to be able to do this. And I think, Josh Allen hasn't really been pressed.
Yeah.
And I think that they will, with the scoring, the offensive pressure from Kansas City, Buffalo's defense is banged up. Mm-hmm. I think Kansas City's defense is the difference versus Buffalo's defense being a little bit more injured right now.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot Buffalo's gotten a little banged up too.
Yeah. So, and again, Pat Mahomes.
Yes.
So, There you go.
Yes, and I have a little sprinkle for the listeners, a little wild card special. I use FanDuel to do my bets. There's a bet on their tight end specials that's available right now that you can get at plus 650. It was when I took it. I don't know if it's been hammered or not. But there's one for a touchdown to be scored by a tight end in each divisional round game. So not by each team, but a touchdown from a tight end in each game. And I love that this week. Because Texans-Ravens, I can't remember who the Texans tight end is.
It's Dalton Schultz, former Cowboy.
So you have Schultz and Likely,
Yep.
regardless of Andrews.
Yep.
I love either one of them to get a touchdown as it is right now.
Yep.
Packers, 49ers, you've got Kittle and Musgrave.
Yep.
You should love either one of those right now. Buccaneers and Lions, you've got Laporta or Otton.
Yep.
For the love of God, Baker Mayfield couldn't have thrown it to him more.
Yeah.
And Laporta still got a touchdown last game, even though he was hurt.
Yeah. Even though he only had, 3 catches, but he had a touchdown.
But he had a touchdown. And then Chiefs-Bills, Kincaid or Knox, and
Yeah.
you got Kelsey.
Yeah.
Sprinkle
a
little bit on that.
That
At plus 650, 10 to win 75, how could you not?
that's a great bet to pick
I
because tight ends have just been hot as firecrackers
They
lately.
have. And, leave it to me to say this, and now they're going to go cold.
Well,
But there's enough big-name tight ends in all of those games
Every
on
team.
each team.
you're right.
You don't need to take one by each team.
Yep.
Just take one for the game.
Yep.
Because it's a safe pass most of the time for, quarterbacks to throw to.
Yep.
You see it a lot in primetime games, and all these are technically, not technically primetime games, but they're all singled out.
Yep.
So I love that. I'm just going to leave that out there
Great
for you
pick.
guys. It's on FanDuel underneath tight end specials.
Huh. Great pick. Yeah, Kincaid for the Bills. Doesn't do shit most of the playoffs for fantasy, and then has a touchdown in that fucking game last week. I'm like, you fucking prick.
Kincaid and Knox had a touchdown
Both
last
of them
week,
did. Yep.
Which, it's against the Steelers. But
yeah. And look at the ticket prices. One thing here just real funny to look at real quick. All the other matchups, $150, $100, cheapest tickets as low as. Then you got the Detroit Lions game. Those tickets, the lowest tickets are like $560 right now.
Okay, so I take back everything I said about the fall off of the energy. If they're that high, they've been bought out and then resold a bunch probably at this point.
Now, whether they sell it, that's another story.
I have to imagine.
But the price they're asking is crazy.
Yeah.
It's 4 times the 3 other games. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I guess if you're a Chiefs fan, if you're in Buffalo, you've seen it 1,000 times at this point. If you're in San Francisco, you've seen it 1,000 times at this point.
Yeah.
Detroit hasn't, and then Baltimore's seen it, but not to the same extent. So they're probably just wanting to fill the stadium, if I had to guess.
Yep.
But interesting, very interesting.
So, exciting weekend coming up.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
We're down to, there's only 4 games left.
That's crazy.
That's sad.
It is.
Because then after this week, we've got 3 total left.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And fuck the Pro Bowl. There's nothing there to watch.
The Pro Bowl's stupid as shit.
Getting voted for the Pro Bowl even now, it doesn't mean anything.
Now, the one thing I will comment on is, we have the Senior Bowl coming up. We have there's another one too, the Shriners Bowl, East-West Shrine game, I think.
There's a couple ones like that.
So, did my first at lunch today. Did my first mock draft simulation.
Yes, for those of you that don't know yet, this is our first iteration of the draft on this podcast. This man is the draft man. We've won a lot of money off this man and who he thinks gets drafted where. So, believe him.
Yeah.
All I wanted to add to that.
So we'll have some fun to that and see how we can tie betting into predicting draft picks.
Oh, yeah.
As we kind of get into that. That'll be kind of a fun twist this year.
He looks like, what's his name from Sunny in Philadelphia, where he has the red string everywhere and he's been sipping coffee for like an entire day. I'll throw the meme up that I'm talking about, but that's him with drafts, NFL drafts.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for Koi Pond
number
10. No doubt where we're at now. We have the great sign over here.
Yep.
And we'll when we get back next week, we'll have the halls dedecked and
we'll figure it all out.
Have something a little new up there probably.
Yeah, so. I'm sure there's always something you can find. But
for sure.
Appreciate everyone watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. I don't think there's any real new news.
That's it?
No, we got this.
Yep. Awesome.
Very nice.
Good job, Ben.
Yep. All right. So we will see you.
Koi Pond
Do we have any saying for this yet?
We don't yet.
Okay.
We've just been saying koi pond out, but it's not very original.
No, it's not.
So we got to work on that.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe we just take it out with.
then we get copywritten immediately. We'll never see them again. All right. See you guys later.
Adios.
Koi pond.